Hey, AfterBuzzers, you are watching the AfterBuzz After Show for Face Off Season 10, Episode 14, Sinister Showdown Part 2. Join us as we break down the episode for the final time this season. It's the finale. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's the final countdown.
What is up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome to the finale for Season 10 of Face Off Sinister Showdown Part 2.
Yes.
I am your host, Alana Jordan, and joining me, as always, is a full panel of awesomeness. To my left here.
Oh, hello. You guys can find me at Alexis Torres and aTorres890. That's me. Oh my God, live show.
I just had a moment where she was like to my left, and I had to be like, yeah, that is her left. I'm Emma Fyffe. You can find me all over the internet, wherever Emma Fyffes are sold, at Emma Fyffe.
And I'm Michelle Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
Yeah, you can.
And you can find all of us on Twitter using that hashtag ABTVFaceOff. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at that Alana Jordan girl. So, I love that, like, get amped music.
I'm just going to be honest, that will always make me think of Arrested Development, though.
Yes. Doing one of these moments with all the cards and the knives and stuff. Oh, it makes me so happy.
It's really good. Oh,
This is my pump-up song right here every single time.
I'm all about it. It's a good montage song, and there was a lot of good montages this episode.
there were.
So
It's true.
It was pretty fitting. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree.
I do have to say, my favorite part of this episode, though, was the twist. Because there's always a twist.
Always.
This time, it was a sweet twist.
It was really nice.
It was like a cinnamon sugar twist.
Oh, what have you done?
Thinking about food.
I know, that sounds really good right
Always.
now.
Yeah.
All right, so the guys were all hanging out outside. Melissa, Rob, and Walter talking about the feedback that they got from last episode from their directors for their screen and lighting test that they did, and just kind of talking about general things that which I kind of like that they have that little wrap up, but it's in a new way.
Yeah.
It's the guys hanging out. But then they go inside, and the light floods behind them, and we see, dun dun dun, their family.
I know. I was very pleasantly surprised, yet also a little bit confused that they didn't add a third character.
Yeah.
Because, granted, that's what they did last season.
That's exactly what
But at the same time, that almost justified this finale being 2 parts last season. Whereas, like, this season, it's like, at the beginning of this episode, we just got like some footage of them hanging out with their families. Granted, it was adorable. Melissa's son is the cutest little thing I've ever seen. Like, like I want to put him in a basket and take him home with me.
So
like,
excited that
so
he's
cute.
going to Universal Orlando. From
Yes.
the
I
challenge.
know. Yeah.
And we got to see his little face. We're like,
gosh,
"Your
I
little
just-
face."
Yeah, he's
I'm going to make some monsters.
Okay. He's basically just like, I get to see mom. That's cool.
yeah.
I'm just like, you have no idea, little kid. Like, as soon as you are old enough, you will be like, wow, my mom is the coolest of all the moms.
Yeah, true that.
So cool.
I got to see Walter with his wife. All
Yeah.
Oh my God,
sweet.
they were so adorable and romantic and just nuzzling, and it was adorable. I wanted more of that.
And Rob's parents, because we keep forgetting Rob is a baby.
Yeah.
Wee babe.
Yeah.
Wee babe.
He's a very talented baby, so it's easy to forget.
Yeah. So let's put it this way: when they're having parties at bars, he's not old enough to join. So
I didn't know how old he was, just saying.
$100,000 buys you 0 pints of lager.
yeah.
That'll make you Shirley
But
Temples, though.
it could buy you a trip to Europe where you could then buy.
Accurate.
That is
Hey,
also
there you
very
go.
true.
That's all you gotta do is just
picture,
travel
Michelle.
somewhere else.
Europe.
picture.
Or, no, not Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a
long
weird
time,
law.
Wisconsin, yes.
It has a weird
Location.
law, but you can't drink between the ages of 18 and 21 in Wisconsin. Any other age, you're golden.
What?
Oh.
Look it up. You're welcome.
Google it. I mean,
Wisconsin.
just like I didn't know that back in the East Coast they don't have you can't sell alcohol in grocery stores like
No,
that
no,
threw me off when I went there. I was like,
no.
what?
Yeah,
that
we don't
blew
sell.
my mind when I came here. I like went to the grocery. I went to CVS and I was like, "There's a bottle of liquor next to me. Somebody's made an error."
Yeah. Yeah, that's how in Maine the laws are different, but like for the most part, growing up, like because I'm from Connecticut, where they think prohibition is still happening. Wow. So like you couldn't buy alcohol on Sunday, and all the liquor stores closed at 8.
That's exactly what it is.
Man.
No, because like I was in Pennsylvania driving to a party, and I was like, okay, so we're going to like a something like a store, and they're like, yeah, no, we have to go to this weird. It's kind of creepy. There's like 2 dudes who look like they're hicks. They're gonna give us alcohol. And I'm like,
Did
it feel like a horror movie?
Yeah,
it did,
that
because
sounds
it was like
the
that
setting.
weird, scary. It was weird, scary lighting. It was 2 guys with mustaches just like, hey.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So then
could be alcohol.
when I started working for Missoula Children's Theater, which I did for 2 years after I graduated from college, and I was in Montana, where it's just like, buy liquor whenever you want. And also at the time there was no open container law. It was like, whoa.
What? That's crazy. It was
So we're all taking a trip to Montana.
I'm down. Field trip.
The world is your oyster, Rob.
Go where you please. So this was completely shifting gears, a very sobering episode.
Oh, yeah.
It was one that you wish you had some liquor around. Just flip the table, flip it. Because all of these movies were terrifying.
Guys, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Like, I'm actually not going to be able to sleep. I don't like horror movies, so this whole challenge was just like,
Oh, I loved it.
I loved it. I hate it. I usually have, decent control over my body reactions when watching something, but watching the scenes in many movies, I was like
flailing. Yep.
I kicked at one point.
yeah, there was like a pointed toe.
When I react, I do it 110%. That's all I'm saying.
I'm Michonne, I can kick.
Just like karate moves.
like punching the screen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was like a mosh pit where you're like, no.
Yeah, this was an intense episode. Now, I will say, because they showed us the full short films that they created, that I think does kind of validate why this was split into 2. Because
Sure.
before we didn't get, all of the movie. We've got clips and stuff.
Yeah.
But I did like being able to see almost like a little mini face-off film fest.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because like we usually see our models acting in person, but it was kind of cool for them to have like lines.
Yeah,
and
it was
to
really
actually
cool.
act like couples and go through the whole thing. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I was so excited for the makeup artist for that whole experience. It was a full-fledged movie set that they got to work on and participate on, and I was like, that looks so freaking magical.
When you see the star wagons, this is legit. The double
so
G
good.
wagons.
Yeah. I was looking for the craft services table.
Man, that is the reason that everyone gets into film.
True. Yes, that's the only
craft
reason why.
services.
Yep.
Because it's a lot better to be eating the snacks than to be eaten by demons in the shed.
You're correct. I just want cubes of cheese.
Never ending.
You could give
Only
oil demons cubes of cheese and send them on their merry way.
Here, just one.
like-
just one.
You look a little hangry.
Eat a Snickers. Eat
feel
a Snickers.
You become
Oil demon.
such an oil demon. Just have a Snickers and calm down. So they bring in Jason Blum to be one of the guest judges, which I do kind of wish that they would have had a little bit more of his feedback throughout instead of just the end.
Yeah.
Last episode, I liked having a little bit, and I know that they were focusing on the actual shooting and on the directors and everything, but I like when they really utilize their guests. And
Well,
I feel
I think some of it with Jason was like, I sort of understand the reason to not really involve him because, he published this story in his book, and not that he wrote it or anything, but obviously, when he was reading it, he had some sort of vision of it, thought it was scary enough that it should be in this short story collection. So I understand that they kept him out of it until the very end so that he was seeing 3 different visions of a single story.
Okay.
That's
I get
legit.
it. Yeah,
And he did
that's
say
fair.
that when he watched it, he didn't actually imagine that they would be like any of those.
Yeah,
but all
exactly.
of them were better. So
Yeah.
that's a good compliment to
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
from Jason Blum.
No,
even if
absolutely.
You don't get to hear it until it airs. That's always kind of a bummer too, is when they do like now we're going to talk about you behind your
know.
back, but we'll show the whole world later.
Well, and especially like this episode because it was all just nice things,
Yeah.
And it was like, it would kind of be nice to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, when you're competing.
Like, you
But-
just imagine the camera cuts and they're like, okay, so here's what we said. Like, Mackenzie brings him over, sits him down, like, let me give you the 411.
Yeah.
We like you guys.
Yeah.
So the book that Emma was referencing is the Blumhouse Book of Nightmares, the short story that Christopher Dunham wrote, Hellhole. And it's really weird seeing the same story portrayed three different ways.
I know. Yeah, and with the roles reversed in some cases too, of who you know sort of succumbs to the demon attack and becomes possessed.
It's like
And
watching
even
the
the
Harry
time
Potter
period.
films.
It's like, yeah, it is.
It is,
like,
though.
Sorry, my mind just like it just became broken. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Very, very distinct divisions.
Yeah.
The only comment I was making.
Yep.
Each, you can tell the Harry Potter movies who
Different
directed
directors.
one.
Yes. Yep.
So, but it's all a cohesive thing. So
Yeah.
this was pretty cool that we got so many different perspectives of the same source material, because before it was very different monsters for very different stories.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I think adding the third character, I feel like it would have been too much for this one.
Yeah. I agree.
Unfortunately.
Well, and there wasn't within the confines of the actual story
Yeah, that's
a
what I was
third
gonna say.
character,
Mhm.
really.
Yeah, 'cause-
I mean, there was a third character, but it was not. It was a person.
Make this doll.
Yeah. Listen, they should have had
should have
Robert
made the
make
doll.
those dolls.
I was
I'm
looking
upset.
at both of those dolls, and I was like, oh, just Robert could have made this in about 20 seconds.
seconds.
That would have
Yeah.
been great. And I do have to say, my one real complaint with this was we did not get a lot of feedback or screen time for the artists that were brought back for this
I
one.
agree. Yeah.
Robert didn't speak at all.
Yeah.
We got to
Actually,
see
nobody
the
really.
B-roll of him vacuum forming teeth.
There was one
I was looking at that.
interview with Anna, and that was really
And
it.
Johnny.
Oh yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
even those were very not like, oh, we're glad to be back, or oh, this is interesting, or oh, this
Yeah.
is the vision. It was, I'm using zinc oxide so
Yeah,
that he
it
won't
was
sweat
exactly.
his makeup off.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
Like, cool.
Good for you.
Yeah.
The end.
good to know more about your
Gold star,
personality.
Johnny.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah, which all of these characters are so, I say characters, but they're people, are just so dynamic, and they're such
Yeah.
awesome artists and such awesome people that I'm like, okay, if this was going to be broken into two different parts, could we have some more time of them
Yeah.
like talking?
No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Mel, because I'm like, she should have been up there anyway.
I
I'm
know.
surprised that she didn't even get a little bit of like something. I mean, we got to see her characteristics where she's like, "You need help there," and like
Yeah.
that
She
kind
was
of
like-
stuff.
It was
With the
saying,
mannequin, that was so
It
cute.
was adorable.
and when she was like, I painted it a little muddy last time. I'm gonna try not
Oh,
to do it
that's
this
right.
time.
Yeah.
And
But
that
that's
was
not what I
about it.
wanted.
Which was like, well, yeah, we imagine that you want it to be better.
Better.
Yeah.
Different.
That's
Right, and it's like we got some footage of like Robert vacuum forming the teeth
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
then a
I
close
just
up of the bugs that
Yeah.
they were like, Robert made these. And it's
Yeah.
like, you just had to show us how good they were. And we
Yeah.
already
Yeah,
knew they
because
made
I
them.
completely forgot that they were on the makeup, to be
I did
honest with
too.
you.
Yeah.
Like,
It's hard to see it, to be
Yeah.
honest. So
in a good way.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what makes
Yeah.
it creepier is that you can't see them and then they just kind of like subtly show up and you're like, ugh.
yeah.
Hate it. Hate it.
Now, I don't know. I had a lot of mixed feelings about this episode,
Same.
but we'll just
Same.
dive right into each of the teams.
Yes.
Starting off with Melissa, she had probably not a ton of feedback that for things that she needed to change last time. Yeah, and she ended up making really, really cool things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the little divots in her demon that were bleeding the oil.
Yeah.
And just leaking out. I thought hers was really impressive, and also moving that scar in the forehead
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
was a good move.
Yeah.
I agree.
And she took all of the feedback from her director and made it even better.
Yes.
I do love that they did focus on, and I wish some of the other directors had done this in judging when they were giving some feedback and they were saying how cool making
Yeah.
the Cyclops not completely symmetrical.
Right. Right. Not a big
Yeah.
orifice circle in the middle
Not
of his
a
head.
circle.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because the fact if it is something that either got ripped out or whatever, it's not going to heal correctly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree because
Yeah.
it was a lack of an eye actually rather
Right.
than an eye.
Which
Exactly.
is even more terrifying.
Yeah. Right.
But I love that John Wynn, her director, stood up and said,
Yeah.
you know, to Jason Blum, like that
Yeah.
was actually completely her idea.
Yeah.
I told her to do something different, and she said, you know, and not that she went against what he wanted.
no,
it was
no.
she had an active discussion and was
Yeah.
like, you know, that's been done. Let me try this.
Yeah.
Right.
And really highlighted how well she works with a director, how well she takes direction, but also incorporates her own skill set as an artist.
Yeah.
And is able to bring to the director even better ideas.
Totally.
Which really shows that she's just a really good makeup artist in general,
is.
and she is ready for. I mean, we
Absolutely.
already knew that, but I love how like if you threw it like how they did it today, or if you literally threw her in a film that was going to be happening and it's going to be 6 months and she had to do everything, like I feel like she wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
She would just absolutely crush it. And she was really good about making sure that she designated set tasks, but also helped a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should have let Yvonne talk at all. She really didn't get to say anything. And I'm like, she's so talented. Like, I'm watching her do all this cool stuff. Let her say some words about what she's doing.
Especially because her application is so strong.
Exactly.
It's so good. I would have loved to hear from her, like, what she does to make her makeups, like, really look like they're part of a person's face.
Yeah,
Because
that would have been great.
she's incredible. Yeah.
Because that demon just, it didn't look like makeup. It
No,
looked
it
No,
looked
it looked like
awesome.
part of his face.
Yeah, I mean, it was a situation of, Melissa collaborated really well with this director. She collaborated really well with her team, and she clearly made something that the director was very, very happy with. And I think that she took the possession makeup just far enough.
Yeah.
Because the last time their complaint was it was too subtle, and this time around it was like, now I get it. I think it was one of those things where probably off camera it looked a lot more intense the first time around, and then they saw it on camera and they're like, nah, it really needs to be more.
She took her lighting test as a lighting test.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fixed the character to the light.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what she was supposed to do.
And
did a
I
very good
agree
job.
with V, where at first it's kind of like, oh, it looks like he's hurt, injured, possessed. I can't really tell in the front, and then the shot of our wife
Over the
turning
shoulder,
around,
yeah.
and seeing them poke out. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see. I agree that looks cooler with the wood sticking out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
And adding the sticks when there's a character called Mr. Sticks.
Yeah,
It's like,
it made,
well,
it
that
made
makes sense.
Yeah.
It works. I do have to say though, that doll. Why?
Yeah.
It was
Looked like
it was
that.
rough.
There were some odd editing things that happened in these films, and I was like, please don't hold this against the makeups, because the makeups look great.
Yeah.
But like the CGI fire,
Why?
I didn't understand.
I agree
Did they
with
not
Michelle.
get a permit?
yeah,
I agree with Michelle. It's like fire's free.
Fire
You could just-
is free.
you just
Guys,
light stuff on
But then
fire.
they're like, we already had this doll. That's why it needed to be a Cyclops, is because we wanted it to match the doll we already had, and we only had it in the budget to make one. And if you burn it, we can't do another take.
That's what I was gonna say. I
No,
was like,
they
so like, they didn't have multiple dolls. They're like, no, we're only making one.
There was
No more
different
monstrosities from here. What?
Huh? No, I'm talking about the one at, like, if they burned the real doll,
Oh,
then
yeah.
they would need
Yeah,
a
they
backup
would need a
doll
backup
for another
doll.
shot.
Right.
I'm not talking about the two different dolls.
Gotcha.
and the
I
two-
understand.
No,
I follow.
yeah.
But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I just think it would be really funny if someone's like, I'm not making another one. Well, I guess we'll use fake fire then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that when it would
was
just zoom
weird.
in on that one pokey out googly eye.
Even when it was
I was like,
standing
what?
in the middle of the house where it was like, I'm evil. I'm like, no, you're not. You're adorable.
You're like a Sour Patch Kid.
I was gonna say it did. It looked like a gingerbread man Sour Patch Kid hybrid with a Cyclops
Sour,
eye.
sweet, and then gone.
It was like literally
Just-
like a little kid that like took all of its favorite candy and dropped it in the forest and
Yeah.
was like, oh, I guess we'll just leave it there.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it. As much as I wish that it wouldn't have, I feel like it detracted from how good the makeup
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
I agree.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it was, a bad film. I don't think it was bad direction. I think just a lot of
No.
it was the way that certain way that things were cut.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
editing was very strange. I
was
mean,
odd.
it was like Zack Snyder edited it. Sorry, I had to do it.
But you can tell that John Wayne is a great director. So
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because it's like that opening shot was really good, and the final shot with the blood splatter, and like that was all great. That was all great. It was just edited very strangely.
The pacing was weird.
and
I'm-
it just go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say, and sometimes the dramatic cuts can be terrifying. Like they can add to the horror very well when they're done well. And I'm not saying this wasn't done well. I'm saying that this was, a low budget project
Yeah.
for a show.
Yeah, it just seemed like they were trying to rush through it, and I was like, no, we want to know what happens. Like,
Yeah.
take your time. That's what makes it scary.
Like you made it a two-parter. I would like a 5 to 7 minute movie. Just like to be terrified.
At least like tops 3 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
just something.
Yeah, it did feel like they were trying to put a lot of story into a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, your brain trying to process all of that story doesn't have time to go, and look how incredible this makeup detail is.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're thinking, wait, what? Go.
Like, can we go back? Can we rewind? Okay, never mind.
And
I guess
then-
we'll just continue.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the doll. I feel like if they could have made their own doll, it would have been significantly more terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, not to like, I'm not trying to like massively pick on this one. I just felt like the other two seemed like it was a little slower. A little bit. And we had more time to actually know, like, okay, this is happening. Okay, this is happening, and here's our monster. It was more like, oh, they're here at the house, and now the monster's here. Okay, and all right, here we go.
It could also be partly the order too. Is that
Yeah, I
the
also
first time
agree.
we saw the story?
That's true. Yeah.
Was this one? By the time we get to, hey, I got so excited. I just had to
Get rid of this water.
Who needs water?
Who needs
add
it?
some more, the little water effect for her.
Yeah,
with the
exactly,
bacon
for the
and
glassy
on the
shoulder.
table.
Yeah.
Tie it together. It all works. Yeah, I just feel like this one, by the time we got to the last movie, we understood the story really well.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wish that maybe the orders had been switched
No, I completely
around
agree
a
with
little
you.
bit,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because.
I would have liked to start with Rob since it looked like it was a little bit older, like it was like a period piece.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, actually, I think that they showed them sort of in reverse order of what was most contemporary versus most historical.
Yeah.
Which I kind of would have liked to see.
I would have liked
The
to
other way around.
but
Yeah.
It was very American Horror Story, even in the font. And
Yes.
completely.
So, yeah, but I think Melissa definitely rocked it out.
Yeah,
and
she did a great job.
Has all of everybody just
Yeah, I mean,
created amazing work.
all the makeup was really great
phenomenal.
this week. I almost feel like it just came down to like objectively, like what do you like? You know, subjectively rather, like what do you guys like the most?
Yeah, I agree. It was very. I am glad that I don't have to be a judge on this show. I know I like to sit behind the table and disagree with the judges
Yeah, sure.
sometimes, but if I actually had to sit and watch all of these amazing things and then go, okay, now pick the best, I go,
Yeah.
split it.
Yeah.
Carpool in your feet.
Yeah, exactly.
You get the trip and you get the money.
Yes.
Everybody wins.
And everyone gets a hug and a high five.
Yes.
Now, Walter had probably the least amount of feedback as far as what he needed to
I was
fix.
surprised. Oh, sorry, never mind. I thought we were already getting into the judging. Just kidding.
Oh, no, I'm talking about just going into this episode, knowing what he had to fix from the well, I say fix, but what he had to change from the screen test. And he really didn't have anything. It was just, you amp it up a little bit more, add some more stuff.
Yep.
And
That was it.
I was pretty much
know,
Team
this-
Walter.
Yeah, I was like, I think this one was my favorite, mostly just because of how just detailed from literally the top of the head to down
just
to the
how much
feet.
work he did. I mean, he sculpted a whole freaking chest piece and arm pieces and
Shoulders.
yeah, exactly, because basically he didn't have to redo anything, so he just made a bunch more stuff. And it was awesome.
Which can either go either way. Sometimes you're
Absolutely.
like, oh, more might not be better.
No, I was worried too, but it was
worked.
better.
It was so
so
good.
awesome.
And I mean, just the fact that they were like, hi, here's the biggest person who's ever been on Face Off. Like, he makes Johnny look short.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And so then
crazy.
they're like, don't worry about wardrobe though. Just sculpt something to go on his entire body. He's like,
yeah.
okay.
And I
Add
love
some
that
moss.
because it added to his height too. That made him
Yeah.
just look
Did.
10 times bigger. And I was just like, this is crazy.
And Emma made a great point too about how secure the makeup was.
Yeah.
With him in his full demon makeup, picking people up and hugging people and running around and jumping.
And it wasn't until the end where you can kind of see like the back falling off, and I was like, "Is that his black scissors?" And he's like, "No."
Little demon butt.
I want that in my life. Little demon butt. Little demon butt.
That'll be your new name.
I'll take it. I'm so excited.
So this one, I mean, I honestly think that this was. I'm surprised this didn't win.
this is my winner.
Totally agree with
I
you.
agree.
It just boils down to ultimately, like, Walter did more than everybody else. And it would be one thing if he had makeup that they're like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. And then he proceeded to add all these bits and pieces that didn't really enhance what he had already done in any way, shape, or form, but that was simply not the case.
Exactly.
Everything else that he built was unbelievable. I mean, and he just added so much texture and detail and all the little bugs that Robert made, and it was, I mean, the amount of work that went into that demon character is unreal.
I mean, the fact that even just like the little boils he had made all of us be like,
Yeah, in the best way.
Close-ups on them.
oh
Well,
god,
and
it was
I
so gross.
And I have to be honest, I liked his possessed makeup the most too.
I agree.
Yep.
It felt more real.
And that was the big thing, is they were saying, you know, that he was able to really create movement in a static character, which is very difficult to do.
Yep.
And on top of that, have two complete looks that look like they go together, but are also so separate and different that you can tell, you know, just right off the bat what stage and where it's going.
No, I completely agree, and I think it's awesome because the fact that this is the one of the movies that we were kind of like we were even yelling at our TV screen, like, why would you let it speak? Why would you do that? And it was just, I don't know. I thought we were very interactive with Walter's whole piece.
Yes, I felt very engaged in this story, especially you know the bit where he discovers the like tree thing, the tree symbol, the tree of Gondor, and then like brings it in and has, like does like a translation thing on the internet, and I'm like, why would you do that? Come on!
I just like you never speak the Latin.
No, don't.
I feel like Walter should be brought on as like permanent makeup artist for Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yes.
He's already made the episode. He's made it's done. Just use that.
Just use that.
Just put it on air. It's perfect.
Yeah. And this was a better use of evil trees than the original film.
I mean, I have to agree with you.
This one was.
I would love for him to do a remake. I think that would be great with Walter's makeup, just for that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It was so good. And just even last week when the director was like, I kind of want like a gourd, like earthy things. And I was like, you want a pumpkin to be scary.
Possessed pumpkin.
You want pumpkin head,
and then Walter made it.
Head.
Yeah. And I was like, that's really creepy. And then even the subtitles were inaudible speaking for what the girl says, but she says, we're the seeds, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, especially when she gets yanked too.
I'm like, what did she say? And
That was really effective.
Oh my god, we're the seeds. That's so creepy. You're going in the ground.
Goodbye.
I will say though, I also feel like where this was my favorite makeup and my favorite film, I think, of all of them, it was the only one that didn't have a doll. I'm just saying.
Oh, snaps! I didn't even realize.
A lot of dolls.
Just a lot of branches.
It was my favorite makeup, but it wasn't my favorite movie, which is a very conflicting thing, I know, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I just think overall it was a really, really great use of all of his resources. It was perfect for the story. It was perfect for the movie, and the makeups were just spot on. I'm genuinely surprised that this one didn't take it.
Yeah. The only thing I will say is that this is one scenario wherein I sort of understand why the judges made the choices that they did, because all of the makeups in this finale were spectacular. They really were.
Yeah.
They really were. And so the fact that they ended up taking Rob's entire body of work into consideration kind of made sense.
It does. It
It
does.
did, but I also felt like Walter has grown the most.
I totally agree with you. And
like
I
a
think,
vine.
and I think, based on the fact that Melissa also had a very large number of wins, had Melissa done Walter's makeups, Melissa would have won.
No, you're correct. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
But Rob Walter had just a few too few past victories.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that.
Because this is the thing, is that it's like, yes, Walter's makeups were my favorite, but like not by a lot. you know,
Yeah.
because I loved Melissa's makeups and I loved Rob's makeups. I really did.
Nobody dropped the ball at all.
No, they really
So-
didn't.
Everything was great.
Yeah.
Every single detail was just on point
so
for
good.
all of them.
Yep.
All cringeworthy, all turn away from the TV, but also really wanted to stare
Yeah.
at it at the same time. Yeah, I think
And I
everyone was
love
great.
how Ryan Spindle, the director, described it as how he was saying, you know, he took all of the textures and the ideas that I wanted, but he turned it into his own thing that was
Terrifying.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And props to Walter. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't win, you at least know that you get to go home making a look that everyone is saying, this is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Evil
That's
Groot.
still a good feeling.
Evil Groot will
Evil-
always be in my brain.
Evil Groot.
Yeah. Evil
Evil
Groot.
Groot,
All the
from
way.
Groot to great. So many groans. We just need like a groan button.
Getting through it.
I'm assuming, Michelle, that your favorite movie was Rob's.
Yes.
So
I just yes.
would you like to quantify that opinion? Just that's it.
Just the way that it was shot and the lighting and the editing was the most powerful to me. I guess it was the movie I'd probably watch first out of the three.
That makes sense.
And I loved that it tried to build in that passage of time in that timeline. With the
Yeah, I
7
liked
months
that
later, I
too.
was like, okay, this feels like it's going somewhere. They've been doing something. It's building to something.
Yeah.
And just the dramatic cutaways, not with the actual frame itself, but just with the light. Like you see the demon for a second and then the light's gone, so you have to be paying attention. And those are always the jump scares that get me. It's just like it's there and it's not there, but like nothing has changed within the frame. Like
And I did like the pacing of this one
Me
as
too.
well. It was way better.
And I liked seeing the deteration of the hero. You know, the guy who didn't end up getting possessed. It was the wife in this one that ended up getting possessed by the demon. But I really like those complicated horror stories where like the protagonist is like really the antagonist just as much as any antagonist is, because it's like you're seeing the negative effects of basically like being an oil, I don't know what
Tycoon,
tycoon?
Yeah. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But
Which
yeah, it was
is
crazy.
a much lesser known Sims game.
Hey, man.
Sims
Monster oil tycoon.
I would still play that game though.
and I will say the doll in this one was better.
It was definitely better.
The fire was still the
Still CGI fire.
Terrible.
Still that fire,
terrible.
but
I just felt
button eyes creep me out. I've only ever seen Coraline once, and I will never watch it again.
Yeah, I completely agree. Instead of just the one,
The googly eye, 2 button eyes, freaky.
I really wanted the googly eye to move. I would have been like, I'm done.
I want it to just come out like a cuckoo clock. But,
that would actually
That
kind
actually
of be
would have
terrifying.
terrified me, and that would have been the better
like
doll.
think about like a Jack in the Box, but like just the eye.
Oh my god, I would
I
love
feel
that.
like that would happen, and I'd be like, "Who thinks of that?"
She does.
Like while I get scared.
And then you're like, oh, not a good idea. That's why I don't do those.
Make note for next haunted house. Give children dolls with cuckoo eyes. Got it.
Got it.
Nice. So Rob's team, Caleb and Anna, they just really
Team
brought
koala!
his
They
vision to life.
did.
Okay, this is one thing.
That's all I wanted you to
I
do.
do have to say, they're yelling out Team Koala, and since I've seen on Facebook and Twitter, people are like, yeah, Rob, Team Koala. Where did this come from? This is the first time we've had any
know.
reference
Yeah.
to Rob being a koala.
I have no idea.
Nope. Somebody
Didn't know it.
should tweet us or something so that we can find out. I want to know the story of
You
this.
got some explaining
The
to
origin
do.
story of Team Koala, please and thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Because he
Does he look like a koala? Because
I
he's
think he
tiny.
really looks
Because
like
he's
a
tiny and,
koala,
and
and
cuddly.
adorable.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I just want him to let his ponytail down
cute.
again.
Oh my
They're
god!
cute.
When that one time where he was working on something, and his
That
hair was just
flower.
down, I was just like,
That flow.
I was like, please give me a L'Oreal commercial, quick! Toot sweet, sister.
It's a koala with much better hair.
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, I didn't understand Team Koala, but you know, hey, go Team Koala.
You do you, Team Koala.
Who was Team Badass? Was that Melissa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was Team Badass.
And we didn't. Walter was just Walter.
Walter was
Walter
like,
felt bad.
Team, we did a really, really good job.
Yeah.
Team Evil Groot. I will claim that.
Yep.
There you go.
Groot. I like it.
Yeah.
Into it.
So they really just rocked this one out, though, especially adding the crying oil eyes to
yeah.
the mask
Oh, genius.
so that it would have. And that's, I think, the best use of some sort of moving effect is on an actual movie. So it's like, okay, that makes sense, because we've seen on stage incorporating, different things, and like Walter's wings that didn't quite go the way that he wanted, but still had, that cool moving piece to it. I'm actually surprised that there wasn't more of this.
Yeah.
And even this one was such a subtle effect.
I was scared it wasn't gonna read.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't know, with the lights swinging and everything.
And in the filming, they had clearly, set it up on the demon, so I knew that was coming. And then in the movie, the final cut, when it happened to the girl, I was like, I wasn't
really
ready
cool.
for that. I was not prepared.
Yep.
And then her voice was changed, and I was like, "Oh, you freaked me out."
I actually liked it without the voice change. I thought she was creepier with her own voice, where it was like really high up here.
That's
like
true.
that was pretty creepy. But I did like that they incorporated that demonic voice. I was like, okay, I literally cannot. I need to change your pants.
I'm glad they showed us both, though, like how they were filming it and then how they cut it. Like, the exact.
No, it was great.
Like, shot pretty much.
I was gonna be really upset if we didn't see the films.
If we didn't see the films,
That would be no point.
There would be no point. No.
the fire would not be CGI. I would be lighting things. I'd be burning this mother down for real. I would have been very displeased. So I'm glad that they at least showed us how everything looks, and it's so cool seeing the models like get to.
I'm so proud of them.
Stuff.
They did so. I mean, we're so used to seeing them act in person, and I thought that was really cool. But seeing it on film was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really nice.
I love that. I love how they were all adorable little couples and stuff. It was cute.
And I do love how Rob had the most that he had to change.
Yeah.
And when he was even done, he was saying, I this could go either way, because I also thought the makeup was great before the lighting test, and that was a disaster. So
True.
I do have to agree with what Michelle said when we were watching, was when he got rid of the horn nose. I think it made a better
It really did. Yeah.
than before.
Oh, it was terrifying.
And I thought his possession makeup was right on the nose. I had to get it out there because I couldn't think of another word.
Cheer.
And that I really liked the fact that they kind of made it more subtle with her face.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good, because I was a little afraid of that, because it did seem like her face was kind of bulging, but I think the director asked him to incorporate the demon's face into her face without and making it look feminine.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It was cool getting Bryce's feedback on this one too, since he had the most to say last episode about changing it, and he was super on board with it, and just like 100% gung ho about the way that it looked.
His energy level is just ridiculous in the best way.
Yeah, it's great.
Keep up.
I love all three of the directors. I just want to like.
Seriously.
They are handsome
They're
fellows.
very handsome.
I have to point it out there.
Yeah.
Good looking in front of and behind the camera.
Yes.
Everything looks great this episode. We all thought it.
We all thought it.
Had to be addressed. Had to be addressed.
It did.
All right, now that we got the important stuff out of the way.
Yeah, I just absolutely love this, especially how they brought up how it looked like a Japanese horror ghost. It looked like something that was almost its own genre, and I like that it became such a different thing. I mean, obviously setting it at a different time period affected it, but just seeing how different this was while also staying true to the very, very identifiable demon forms.
Yes.
And like the crown of horns.
And apparently that was really all he wanted in the first place, because you know what this demon didn't have? Shovel hands.
demon did not.
Emma, I'm so glad you pointed that out.
Thank you.
I forgot all about that.
I did.
Stupid shovel hands. I was so upset.
Oh man,
Shovel hands.
I forgot about the shovel hands, and I feel like Rob intentionally forgot about the shovel hands.
That feels like a
I
conscious
tend to agree
decision.
with you on that. Yeah.
And I am okay with this.
Because of what we've seen from Rob, I'm sure he was very polite and was like, "Well, let's take it this direction." But in his head, he's going, "We're not doing any damn shovel hands."
That's not a thing.
No,
No, Honey Bunch is a no. It's not happening.
His director asked for a lot of changes.
But I'm glad that he
made most of
shovel
them.
I was like, he still incorporated enough of it to look good, just without obviously the giant shovel hand sculpt set.
Oh man, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I
would've totally forgot about
the
that.
shovel hands, and I'm very
Good call.
glad
Wow.
And I feel like if you give your character shovel hands, like, what do you do?
It just
with
becomes
this thing?
It's a comedy. Yeah.
Edward
I feel
Shovel
like we
Hands.
just- I just think
What
of
a
that scene from
different film.
Talladega Nights. Like, I just expect the demon to be like, I'm here to take your soul. And also, I don't
And then
know
it's just
what to
us
do with my hands.
No, he would be named Trevor, not Edward.
Yes.
He would be Trevor Shovelhands.
Trevor Shovelhands.
Oh, Trevor! Sitting there digging up. What are you doing?
This
Put
is
those
our
bodies back.
demon. He was placed in the backyard.
It's just like, I am a demon. Yes, Trevor, we know.
The demon of the sandbox.
Go back to your sandbox, Trevor. I am a demon. Yes, Trevor.
Do you know what happened to my doll? I think Dad accidentally CGI burned it. I'm sorry. Dig up a
hate
new
when
one
that
with their shovel
happens.
hands.
Make a new one.
But I think Anna really just hit the nail on the head when she was saying, you know, the look was awesome. It came together and it was terrifying, amazing, and gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as Rob said, those are all good words.
Yep.
Yes.
And they were all very accurate.
Yes.
I do have to laugh really hard at Neville making sure that his word
Oh,
was
Neville.
the most SAT worthy.
Neville. Oh my god, that was amazing. Yes.
If I could use one word to describe this, it would be efficacy.
And Rob just looks around like, Cole, what does that mean?
Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing, Neville? Like, I had shovel hand up or shovel hand down. Like,
It's in the middle. It's just one of these. It's like, No, it was funny because it was just reminding me of Scott Pilgrim was like, I don't know the meaning of the word, and just bing, he really does it. But yeah, it was so Neville of him to do that. I thought he was
was.
gonna do something else. And I was just like,
No.
why did you pick that word?
in case you were wondering, by the way, it is the
you look it
capacity
up?
for producing
Shut up.
a desired result or effect, or much more easy to say, effectiveness.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's just a synonym for
Yeah.
effectiveness.
He could have
This was
just
an
said
effective makeup.
this makeup was effective.
This was a very effective makeup. It accomplished what you
Neville.
were looking for.
Neville, why?
He was like, I will take a paragraph
Yes.
of description and I will make
Yes.
all of you go back and read my
I
books.
really want a behind the scenes of him in a thesaurus going, what's a better word? What's a better... Found it.
Efficacy. I just choose to believe it was like a word of the day calendar, and he was like woke up in his suit
Garfield holding up like
suit
word of the day.
pajamas.
his suit pajamas, and then like changes and puts on his glasses like efficacy. I will use that today.
I really want it to be a
Check.
Sesame Street one where it's like Cookie Monster who's like word of the day. And just
E
like,
is for efficacy.
exactly. It's like must be a Monday. I don't know.
And brought to you by the number one because Rob was number one.
He won!
Yay! Congratulations! A very well-deserved win.
It
Yes.
This whole season just constantly
Very
crushing,
Every single time.
rocking it out.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, if Mel had to be cut from the episode that she was cut from when Rob was victorious, I'm glad he at least took it home. all the
Agreed.
way.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, props to Rob.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Team Koala.
Yay!
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
We'll
We
figure
saw
it
for
out.
the first
I'm
and
still
last
still
time.
waiting. I want a story. I need to know. Rob, tell me.
I liked it though. I posted
Yeah.
a video of a koala and he wrote, "That's me," and now it makes sense.
I'm telling you, I think that they just think he's adorable like a koala.
Probably. And like a
Possibly.
koala, he knows how to hold on
Maybe. I have
and
no
not
idea.
let go, and he's good with trees.
I was gonna say, I'm a good tree climber.
Sure. Great.
I'll go with that.
So, do you guys have any final thoughts on this episode or on this season?
Just that this was a great finale. Like, all the makeups were super duper polished and looked great on camera, and it was really cool to see these three artists really just like take leadership of being part of a team of makeup designers like you would on an actual film set. And yeah, it was very cool.
I will agree wholeheartedly with that. I still think it could have been an hour and a half finale instead of
Agreed.
making me wait a week. But
I agree with that.
I just this whole
concur.
season was just full of awesome opportunities
Yeah.
for them, and I do love that it ended with them getting real life experience on a set that they can like take with them into their business and wherever they decide to go. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you hit all the points. I really, as much as I really love Face Off when they do like, okay, now your character must dance this long-winded dance on stage and have people live watching. I do like the fact that it's better when it's real live
Yeah.
stuff where it's sitting there like, hey, this is my vision. I need you to
Yeah.
put it into a set form, and and I just thought it was great, and I can't wait for the next season, which is next year.
Yeah.
I'm not
Next
ready.
year, 2017.
I wasn't thinking. I was so used to it being like really close together to a point. So this is gonna be tough,
I know.
guys.
It's gonna be a long.
more.
It's gonna be a long break.
But I am glad that we know Face Off is coming back.
It is.
Yeah.
So we will all be back, just not until 2017.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
all together.
Gosh, a lot could change by then.
I was like, I don't know if we're gonna look the same.
Well, I imagine we'll probably look different depending on the episode as well.
True.
That's fair. That
And
is
every
fair.
episode continuing after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an awesome season. It's been so awesome hanging out with you guys.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome hearing from you guys
Yeah.
at home. Even though the season is over, we still want to hear from you guys.
Yes,
Be
please.
sure to tweet at us. Use that hashtag ABTVFaceoff. And until next year, where can we keep up with you guys?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen, or if you happen to be in the Hollywood, LA area, it's opening tomorrow night. The show that I'm assistant stage managing, Frazzled, is finally here. It's running for a month and a half at Theater of Note, which is a fantastic theater.
theater.
Look online, buy your tickets.
I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet at Emma Fyffe, which is my name, EMMAFYFFE. The last name is all F's, as in Frank, no S's, as in Snake. I'm still in a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz TV. Transformers: Robots in Disguise is still happening on Sundays, as well as Bob's Burgers. And Sailor Moon Crystal is back. We are on Mondays, so I'm around. You can find me here. Just tune in and follow me on Twitter.
Hey everybody, I'm gonna be grooving and moving at atorres890. Go ahead and check out my vlogs, The Hump Day Lunch Hour, where I talk about things on my lunch hour on Wednesdays. Elena?
And I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan, ALANAJORDAN, and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And I'm always hanging out here too, so
Yeah?
I'll tweet about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this season, and we can't wait to hang out with you again next year. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
What's going on?
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.